connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
You're watching ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles. We're coming to you live from Manila and Thailand. Hello, Esther.
Hi, Alma. This is Crystal Mapa of Bangkok, Thailand, and we're bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
Thank you, Crystal. Now to the headlines. President Duterte in his final State of the Nation address, Orsona said if there was one thing he could be proud of in his 5 years in office, it was that he never wavered in doing the unpopular.
Myanmar's junta canceled the results of 2020 polls won by Aung San Suu Kyi's party, announcing they were not free and fair.
An aid to humanity event in Vietnam and Thailand.
Isang mainit na pagbati.
And President Duterte's greetings for the 107th anniversary of the Iglesia ni Cristo.
President Duterte delivered his sixth and final State of the Nation address at the Batasang Pambansa yesterday. And in his speech, he said if there was one thing he could be proud of in his 5 years in office, it was that he never wavered in doing the unpopular. Duterte is the first president from Mindanao and the oldest to be elected president of the Philippines. Let's listen in.
Towards a comfortable life for every Filipino would be easy. Indeed, the past 5 years have truly been challenging and humbling. I stand here before you today bearing no conceit, but if there is one thing that I could be proud of, is that not once did I waver in doing the unpopular, even if it meant upholding the greatest good for the greatest number.
President Duterte has maintained high approval and trust scores despite the coronavirus pandemic for over a year now, and that is according to the latest survey by a political consultancy firm. Publicus Asia Incorporated, in its July 13 to 19 poll, found that 58% of the 1,500 Filipino respondents approved Duterte's work performance, while 55% continue to trust the chief executive. The pollster conducted an independent and non-commissioned survey. The president's approval and trust ratings, however, declined from 65% and 55% respectively. President Duterte got an overall approval rating of 58%, down from Pahayag Q1 or first quarter result of 65%, while his trust rating also slid down to 50% from quarter one result of 55%, according to Publicus. Despite this, the president still emerged as the most approved and trusted government official, according to the survey.
Staying in Philippines, President Rodrigo Duterte on Monday said the creation of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-ELCAC, has resolved the root causes of the communist armed conflict in the country. Duterte slammed the CPP-NPA high-ranking officials for taking advantage of the communist revolution and profiting from the armed struggle. He lamented that only the poor people are dying for pushing the communist ideologies. Let's listen in.
Everybody, as everybody in this country, are paying taxes to the communists. The Communist Party earns billions, but pass on a little to their fighting men who die for an ideology that is so rotten and corrupt. They themselves are pocketing the money and their children are studying in Europe and in other places, which I think none of you here can finance such journey. Yan ang masakit dito. They collect taxes, support season in Netherlands, and they do nothing but bad-mouth government and mouth war dogmas and everything. The cadres, and most of them belonging to the indigenous tribes of our country, are fighting a losing battle between communists and the government. They waste lives, they enlist children, and they are proud of it, but they deny it. But when you go to the mountains, such as I and Senator go many times, even during the elections, they were there with so many arms that I think somebody, an idiot here in the Philippines, supplied the firearms. I'd like to ask Congress, especially Senator Bato, kindly dig on, because we have identified the person who imported the AK-47 into this country on the pretext of using it in the security, providing security and guards in business establishments, and for those who can afford.
Signed Executive Order Number 70 in December 2018, creating the NTF-ELCAC that employs a whole-of-nation approach to end communism and institute peace-building initiatives. Both groups said it is only under Duterte that the government has the courage to disclose the deceptions and violence by the legal front organizations of the Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army National Democratic Liberation, or CPP-NPA-NDF.
President Duterte's governance is known to be centered on law enforcement, and so in the same address, he appealed to Congress to pass a measure providing for a unified system for separation, retirement, and pension of military and uniformed services personnel to address the bloating pension system. Take a look.
I made it a priority to strengthen the institution, boost the morale of the men and women of the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police and other armed services. I am asking Congress to pass a unified system of separation, retirement, and pension of military and uniformed personnel, to maintain government fiscal flexibility and provide adequate benefits and remuneration to our men and women in uniform. This shall apply only to the new entrants of the military and civil. Hindi ho lahat. Cannot be that we have to pay so many, even the salaries of the retired. They get a chunk of the big budget.
Made in Vietnam COVID-19 vaccine to be registered for approval next month. And Vietnam has reached an agreement on technology transfer for coronavirus vaccine with the U.S. We have more details coming in from Ralph Wandolf Empire. Hi, Ralph.
Good afternoon, Christelle, and to everyone watching us today. The registration of the vaccine is expected to be done between August 15 and 20. That was announced at a meeting held on Friday between Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh and representatives from the Ministries of Health and Science and Technology and from the COVID-19 vaccine developers in Vietnam. It was told in the meeting that in the near future, 4 vaccines will be manufactured in Vietnam, of which 2 are domestically developed and the others are made based on technology transfer. Of these vaccines, NanoCovax, developed by Ho Chi Minh City-based Nanogen Pharmaceutical Biotechnology JSC, has seen the fastest development progress, with the phase 3 trial results available between August 4 and 19, said a report at the meeting. Local experts will coordinate with their counterparts from the World Health Organization to assist the vaccine manufacturer in all necessary preparations, including preliminary assessments of the vaccine immunogenicity tests before submitting the vaccine registration dossier to competent bodies for emergency approval, the Health Ministry said. The ministry has established a special working group on clinical trials and development of COVID-19 vaccines, led by Deputy Minister Chan Van Tuan, to boost the progress of all the vaccines under development in Vietnam. After NanoCovax, the second fastest growing vaccine is Covivax, developed by the Nhat Hanh Institute of Vaccines and Medical Biologicals, which will issue a midterm report on July 27 before entering the second phase clinical trial of the vaccine. Among the 2 vaccines based on technology transfer, one will come from cooperation between Vietnamese conglomerate Vingroup and US-based Arcturus Therapeutics, and the other will result from an agreement between the 2 Vietnamese developers, AIC and Biotech, and their Singaporean partner, Xionogy. In addition, under agreement with the Russian Direct Investment Fund, Biotech has packaged Russia's Sputnik V vaccine since July, with an expected capacity of 5 million doses per month, getting closer to the transfer of production technology with a scale of 100 million doses per year. It is expected that WHO experts will come to Vietnam by the end of July to support the health ministry in research, development, clinical trials, appraisal and evaluation of all domestically produced as well as imported vaccines. To date, Crystal, Vietnam has granted emergency approval for 6 foreign COVID-19 vaccines, namely Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Sputnik V, Sinopharm, Moderna, and Janssen. Vietnam has set a target of securing 160 million vaccine doses to vaccinate 2/3 of its population of about 9 to 8 million people this year. In related news, Health Minister Nguyen Thanh Long said on Sunday that Vietnam has reached an agreement on technology transfer for coronavirus vaccine with the US and will start production next year. While he did not divulge specific details of the agreement, the minister said at the first session of the 15th National Assembly that a factory with the capacity to produce 200 million doses is under construction and will commence operations in the first half of 2022. He said that Vietnam has also reached agreements on technology transfers for the coronavirus vaccine with Russia and Japan. The Hanoi-based Biotech company had packaged its first batch of Sputnik V COVID-19 vaccines last week. The batch will be evaluated in Russia before mass production begins in Vietnam. The tech transfer for the vaccine will be completed by the end of this year, Long said. Up to now, Vietnam has secured deals of 130 million doses of vaccines and is in talks with other manufacturers and deals for a further 40 million shots. He said, adding that the shots are expected to arrive in 2021 and early 2022. To date, around 4.5 million doses have been administered, but only about 372,353 people have been fully vaccinated. The infection tally of Vietnam's ongoing COVID-19 wave rose by 2,762 today, this morning, with the new patients recorded in 21 localities. Of them, 1,849 were recorded in Ho Chi Minh City. With the new patients added, Vietnam has recorded 105,287 local COVID-19 patients in 62 cities and provinces since the new wave started 3 months ago. Of these, 21,240 have recovered and 524 have died, according to the Health Ministry. Among the infected localities, Ho Chi Minh City has the highest infection, 68,271 cases. And that's the latest here in Vietnam. Back to you, Chriselle.
Thank you so much, Ralph, for all your updates, and please always stay safe.
It's my pleasure, Chriselle. But before I go, I would like to greet all brethren of Iglesia Ni Cristo 107th anniversary. Reporting live from Da Nang, Vietnam, I am Ralph Mandok Empay. We live in interesting times.
And from Vietnam, let's go now to Singapore. Only fully vaccinated people can work out at gyms or dine in when Singapore restrictions are eased. Live with us is Heather Clemente from EBC Singapore. Hello, Heather.
Hello, Crystal. Singapore is expected to have fully vaccinated about 67% of the population, as well as 75% of elderly persons aged 70 and above by National Day. This implies that Phase 2 heightened alert measures will be reviewed. However, this is only available to persons who have been fully vaccinated. Finance Minister Lawrence Wong outlined a few activities that Singapore residents might expect when the country's vaccination rate reaches 70%, including dining in, going to the gym, and attending large-scale gatherings with over 100 people. Minister Wong also stated that by early September, 80% of the population is expected to be fully vaccinated. This would allow for more relaxation of COVID-19 limitations, such as allowing big gatherings and reopening of the country's borders. Singapore will start by developing travel corridors with nations that have successfully controlled COVID-19 and are equally in control of their situations. When fully vaccinated people return, they may not need to serve the full 14-day stay-home notice depending on the level of risk in their destination country. Those who have not been vaccinated are still permitted to travel, but they will be subjected to the current quarantine regulations. Safe control measures will continue to be essential and important even with high vaccination rates. Minister Wong emphasized that safe precautions such as wearing a mask and keeping a safe distance from others can effectively limit transmission. Businesses will continue to be subjected to regular inspections to ensure that all rules are being followed. Those who disobey the regulations will face severe consequences from the authorities. Back to you, Crystal.
Yes, thank you for all your updates, Heather, and please continue to stay safe.
Before I go, I'd like to wish all members of the Church of Christ a happy 107th anniversary. Reporting live from EBC Singapore, I'm Heather Pilar Clemente. We live in interesting times.
And the coronavirus pandemic is continuing to impact businesses around the world. And this time, Thailand's tourism industry has hit an all-time low. Esther Odanga joins us live. Hello, Esther.
Hi, Alma. Yes, that's true. According to Bangkok Post, Thailand's tourism to hit all-time low this year, as stated by the Tourism Authority of Thailand, or TAT, as international arrivals may reach just 1 million and domestic tourism could drop to 50 to 60 million trips if the worsening COVID-19 situation demands lockdown lasts for up to 3 months. Remember that the country reopened its tourism for vaccinated international tourists via Phuket's Sandbox scheme and Samay Plus model, but despite the program, the country may only receive just 1 million international tourists this year. It plunged 82% compared to 6.7 million last year, when the country received a large number of foreign travelers during the 2 months prior to the outbreak of pandemic in March. TAT targeted 3 million international visitors this year, but there is a chance that it could be just 1/3 of the goal, with revenue of 85 billion baht, down 74% from 2020. On the other hand, domestic tourism will also experience regression as the base number of local trips this year is set to 100 million trips, but according to TAT Governor Yudasak Supasorn, if the country needs longer than 3 months to control the situation, the number of local trips could nosedive to 50 to 60 million. The country is now experiencing severe outbreak resulting to lockdown and travel restrictions in many key destinations. With this scenario, the country needs 3 months of lockdown to curb record high COVID-19 infections. According to TAT's forecast, total tourism revenue in 2021 may drop by 23% to 625 billion baht, comprising 14% from the international market via Sandbox initiative and 86% from domestic tourism. And as of today, the country has 14,150 new infections, totaling to 497,965 with 118 fatalities. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you very much, Esther, for your report. Stay safe.
Thanks, Alma. And also, I would like to take this opportunity to greet all the members of the Church of Christ, Suk San Juan Koprop. Happy anniversary po to all of you. Reporting live from Thailand, this is Esther Odanga. We live in interesting times.
Staying in Thailand, more aid to humanity happening in another part of the world. And here's Faye Porter to give us update. Hello, Faye.
Good afternoon to you, Crystal, and to all our viewers. As the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ celebrates its 107th anniversary, an aid to humanity was held in Thailand and in Vietnam to extend its help to the needy and for those greatly affected by the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic. ASEAN countries are currently dealing with third and fourth wave of infections caused by COVID-19, and Thailand and Vietnam's economy has been significantly affected by restrictions implemented by the government to curb the spread of the virus. But members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo, in cooperation with the Felix Y. Manalo Foundation in different areas of Thailand and in Hanoi, Vietnam, conducted aid to humanity while strictly following health protocols. They have generously prepared dry goods for donations such as rice, canned goods, toiletries, and other non-perishable items. Just before tougher restrictions were implemented in Hanoi to curb the spread of COVID-19, volunteers personally delivered the goodie bags to the recipients with delight in their eyes, and they accepted the relief packages in which they said it will help them greatly as restrictions in the capital city is strictly enforced. Let's look at it.
Loko.
Oh, salamat po.
Lihat.
Salamat po. Yan.
Right. Okay.
The recipients of the donations expressed their sincerest appreciation to the members of Iglesia Ni Cristo through the FYM Foundation. Through the leadership of Brother Eduardo V. Manalo and ministers, this kind of activity is eagerly joined by members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo in Vietnam and in Thailand. Back to you, Christelle.
Thank you so much, Faye, for all your updates, and stay safe.
Yes, and I would like to have this opportunity also to greet all the members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo with their involvement of this humanitarian aid and the community services. This is really an enormous uplift. Happy anniversary and happy 107th anniversary. This is Faye Parte from your EBC Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
And more aid to humanity happening in Thailand. This time we call in Gila Pablo. Hello, Gila.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon, Alma, and good afternoon to all our viewers. And you're right, the church administration of the Iglesia Ni Cristo, in cooperation with the Felix Y. Manalo or FYM Foundation, continues to extend their help through INC Giving project here in Bangkok district of Bangkok, Thailand. This project of Iglesia Ni Cristo shows positive impact to the community and to share the faith of the church through acts of kindness to all the individuals around the world. This project, Alma, the INC Giving and acts of kindness, have been witnessed for numerous times and can also be seen in incmedia.org, the official website of INC Giving, and other projects they are continuously conducting in different parts of the world. To once again show great concern and love for all their fellow men, the Iglesia ni Cristo held INC giving to once again inspire and strengthen them during these hard situations. With hearts eager to help, the activity was led by the District Supervising Minister, Brother William Regalado, and ministers of Iglesia ni Cristo in Bangkapi, Bangkok, Thailand. They have provided goodie bags to the recipients and families battling the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic, containing canned goods and bags of rice. The distribution was conducted by following health protocols for the safety of everyone. These people who have reached by this act of kindness, Alma, are very thankful and express their deepest gratitude to all the members of the Iglesia ni Cristo and their church administration. This is another inspiring story, Alma, of how the members of the Iglesia ni Cristo are always united in helping others. They are also inspired by their executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, that even in little things and small acts of kindness can help someone's life significantly and can truly make a huge impact in the community. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you, Gila. Very inspiring indeed. And you stay safe, take care, and happy anniversary to you.
Thank you, Alma. Thank you for having me today once again. And before I go, I would like to greet all the members of the Iglesia ni Cristo a happy 107th anniversary. Reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand, I'm Gila Pablo. We live in interesting times.
And the news continues here on Eagle News. Crystal and I will be back right after this break.
Taus-puso at malugod po na pagbati ang ipinaaabot ko kasama ng aking pamilya sa pagsapit ng ika-107 taong anibersaryo ng Iglesia ni Cristo. Kalaki po ang dalangin, hangad namin ang inyong ibayong tagumpay bilang isang iglesia na nagpapayabong ng pagmamahal sa Diyos ng ating kapwa Pilipino. Lumawak panawa ang pananampalataya ng inyong kapatiran at patuloy na maging daan ang Iglesia ni Cristo para sa mga pagbabago sa ating lipunan at kaunlaran ng ating bayan.
Welcome back to the program. Hundreds of junior doctors at state-run Malaysian hospitals staged walkouts Monday, demanding better conditions as the country faces its worst coronavirus outbreak yet. Let's listen in.
New for them?
Yeah, equal rights to be a permanent doctor. That's pretty much it. Nothing more.
So you guys are...
Yeah, that's not within our say, but we would definitely not be here if we were treated fairly. Yeah.
Local media reported that several hundred participated across the country, but some doctors complained they were threatened by police and senior hospital staff in a bid to halt the protest. Those involved said senior doctors took over their duties before they walked out to ensure that patient care was not jeopardized. Malaysia is currently battling its most serious outbreak, driven by the highly contagious Delta variant. Officials have reported over 1 million cases and about 8,000 deaths. There are over 23,000 doctors from these contracts in Malaysia, about 45% of the total medical doctors in the public healthcare system, according to official estimates. Last week, the government said it would extend junior doctors' contracts for up to 4 years in a bid to forestall the protests.
And another group of Israeli medical experts arrived in Manila to observe the country's pandemic response and share their best practices in treating coronavirus patients. They were the second group of Israeli experts to arrive in the country following the initial team who visited Manila last June to offer advice on ways to implement a successful vaccine rollout. The four-member team is composed of infectious diseases and COVID-19 specialist Dr. Guy Cho Shen, Shira Peleg, head nurse and nursing manager at the Tel Aviv Suratsky Medical Center's Emergency Department, Aya Jerry's trauma coordinator at the Galilee Medical Center, and Chaim Marcus Rafalovsky, disaster management coordinator at the Magen David Adam. The Department of Health said the four will visit hospitals and hold a dialogue with the country's pandemic response cluster from July 27 to the 31 to share their local clinical guidelines for COVID-19, infection control protocols, hospital management, and other practices. Director Maria Soledad Antonio of DOH, Bureau of International Health Cooperation, said the country particularly looks forward to knowing how Israel was able to achieve a low coronavirus mortality rate. At the end of the mission, the delegates will present their recommendations to improve the country's clinical management of COVID cases.
Small shops, street-side restaurants, and some shopping malls reopened in coronavirus-battered Indonesia on Monday after the government loosened a shutdown despite warnings it could unleash another COVID-19 wave. President Joko Widodo said Sunday that a partial lockdown imposed in early July would continue until August 2, even as the highly infectious Delta variant tears across the vast archipelago nation, which has overtaken India and Brazil to become the global pandemic epicenter. But restrictions on many small businesses, including traditional markets and open-air eateries known as war rooms, were loosened even in the worst hit areas. Shopping malls and mosques in less affected parts of the Muslim-majority nation also got the green light to open their doors to limited crowds and shorter hours. Offices were still under shutdown orders, although there have been widespread reports of employers flouting earlier lockdown rules. The government announcement Sunday came just days after Indonesia saw its 24-hour death toll hit a record of 1,566. The World Health Organization called on the country to impose tighter curves.
Back here in the Philippines, the Department of Health said cases of coronavirus disease have gone up in 6 regions in the country. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergiare said the rise in cases was noted from July 11 to the 24th. Take a look.
Kailangan medyo tayo, no? I'd like to be clear, no, na wag muna nating gamitin yung surge kasi ang surge meron niyang definition sa epidemiology which is what's happening right now. Kung ano man yung nangyayari sa atin, tumataas sa mga kaso that we can verify. We saw a 1% increase in cases in the recent 2 weeks from July 11 to 24 compared to the previous 2 weeks, which is June 27 to July 10. That is nationally. Also, 6 regions had exhibited trend reversals from a negative to a positive 2-week growth rate, showing an increase in cases this recent 2 weeks. These are Regions 2, Region 3, Region 4A, Region 7, Region 10, and the National Capital Region. Ngayon, ito naman pong CAR at saka yung Region 1, maintain pa rin nila yung positive 2-week growth rate nila. 6 na linggo na po ang nakakaraan hanggang sa ngayon. Further, we are also closely monitoring Regions 10 and 11 kasi yung kanilang ICU utilization ay medyo mataas pa rin as of July 24.
Staying in Philippines, Filipinos can now move across the country in more ways with ease through hundreds of completed infrastructure projects under the Duterte administration. During his final State of the National Address on Monday, President Rodrigo Duterte highlighted one of his early agendas to increase infrastructure spending to an average of 5% of the Philippines' gross domestic product. Let's listen in.
5 years ago, the first thing I made sure was to increase our infrastructure spending to an average of 5% of the country's GDP. This is significantly higher than infrastructure spending of each and past 4 administrations. Thanks to the comprehensive tax reform program that enabled us to fund critical infrastructure projects, now MRT-3 no longer unloads passengers but to their destinations. The waiting time between trains had been significantly reduced to 10 trains running at only 30 kilometers per hour before. Now MRT runs 23 trains at 60 kilometers per hour. We have taken away the misery of public commuting. We also pursue the completion of the LRT to East Extension project by extending Line 2 and adding 2 more stations. We have reduced travel time between Manila and Antipolo from the usual 2 to 3 hours to only just 40 minutes. Thanks to our partnership with the private sector, we are able to open Stage 3 of the Metro Manila Skyway.
Aside from easing commuter woes, Duterte added that the construction of key road networks in the country will also boost trade and tourism. Meanwhile, DPWH Secretary Mark Villar reported that the Build, Build, Build programs did not only establish multi-billion infrastructures, but also provided jobs to millions of Filipinos.
And 314 Filipinos have received relief packages in an aid to humanity event of the Iglesia ni Cristo in Malaysia. Ruby Tinawin gives us the details. Ruby.
In commemoration of its 107th anniversary, members of the Iglesia ni Cristo Church of Christ from the Ecclesiastical District of Malaysia has once again gathered to hold an Aid to Humanity project with the Philippine Embassy here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, on this very day of the church anniversary.
With the leadership of Brother Ronaldo Lising, District Supervising Minister of the Iglesia ni Cristo here in Malaysia, a collaboration was initiated with the Philippine Embassy through the kind assistance of His Excellency Ambassador Charles Jose. Recipients of the welfare assistance was provided from the list of Filipino community who are severely affected by this pandemic, many of which have lost their jobs.
Ako po si TC Awa, bilang isang leader din po ng mga Pilipino dito sa Malaysia, mas lalo na sa mga caregiver. Itong na to, malaking tulong talaga to sa mga kababayan natin. Dahil alam naman natin ang caregiver yung trabaho nila on and off.
314 Filipinos in the Kuala Lumpur and Selangor areas, 2 major states in the country badly affected by continuous lockdowns due to its high number of COVID-19 cases, were considered as recipients of this humanitarian drive. Individually packed relief packages filled with several food items such as 5 kilos of rice, canned goods, noodles, biscuits, and other essentials were prepared prior to today's distribution. The Iglesia ni Cristo delegation, led by District Supervising Minister Brother Ronaldo Lising, together with some of the ministers of the gospel, went to the Philippine Embassy here in Kuala Lumpur, where they are warmly welcomed by Ambassador Charles Jose, DCM and Consul General Ann Luis, and Social Welfare Attaché Annie Mendoza. In consideration of the existing health and safety protocols to prevent further spread of COVID-19, the collection of the food relief packages only involved the Filipino community leaders, who will then distribute the packages directly to the recipients. Multiple distribution places were also identified to avoid mass gathering in compliance with the Malaysian government's SOPs on restriction of movement.
On behalf ng mga kababayan natin dito sa Malaysia, ako na mismo gusto magpasalamat sa Iglesia ni Cristo sa kanilang food drive tulad nito, nagpapadala ng mga relief packages para sa mga kababayan natin dito sa Malaysia na talagang nangangailangan ng tulong sa panahon ito. So maraming salamat sa Iglesia ni Cristo sa inyong kagandahang loob sa pagtulong sa ating mga kababayan dito sa Malaysia. Maraming salamat.
The Iglesia ni Cristo will continue its outreach program to fulfill its pledge to help the communities in need all over the world, regardless of its religion, gender, or political affiliation. To all the members of the Iglesia ni Cristo all over the world, happy 107th anniversary. Reporting from EBC Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, this is Ruby Tinawi. We live in interesting times.
Myanmar's economy is expected to shrink by 18% in 2021, according to the World Bank, as a result of massive unrest following a military coup and a resurgent coronavirus outbreak. A mass civil disobedience movement has also paralyzed the economy, with many banks shut and authorities unable to issue bills or collect taxes. The lender said, already weakened by the coronavirus pandemic, the economy is expected to contract 18% in the Myanmar fiscal year ending in September.
Myanmar's junta on Monday canceled the results of 2020 polls won by Aung San Suu Kyi's party, announcing they were not free and fair almost 6 months after deposing the Nobel laureate in a coup. Investigations had uncovered more than 11 million cases of fraud in the elections in which Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy trounced the military-aligned opposition, the junta's election commission said. Commission Chairman Saying So said they attempted to take state power from non-NLD parties and candidates by misusing COVID-19 restrictions. It was not free and fair. That is why the result of 2020 election is cancelled, unquote. He did not say whether fresh polls in the country of 54 billion would be held. The junta has previously said it would hold new elections within 2 years, but has also threatened to dissolve the NLD. Suu Kyi has been detained since the coup and faces an eclectic raft of charges, from flouting coronavirus restrictions to illegally importing walkie-talkies that could see her jailed for more than a decade.
And weightlifter Heidelin Diaz made history when she became the first athlete from the Philippines to win an Olympic gold medal. The 30-year-old Rio 2016 silver medalist from the southern city of Zamboanga realized her dream in the women's 55-kilogram class at the Tokyo International Forum, smashing her personal best to see off world record holder Liao Qiwen of China, who had to settle for silver, with Liao setting a target of 223 kilograms, just 4 kilograms shy of her own world record. Diaz was faced with a final clean and jerk of 127 kilograms to win, fully 5 kilograms more than she had ever achieved in competition. With a massive effort, she hoisted the huge oil Olympic record weight, and the tears of joy began to flow even before she dropped the bar to the floor after a triumphant effort. Liao took the silver with Kazakhstan's Zulfiya Chinchalo, the bronze 10 kilograms adrift of the top two. Diaz spent the last year and a half training in exile in Malaysia because of COVID restrictions. So dedicated was she to claim an unprecedented gold in her fourth and probably final games. Diaz's medal was just the 11th by the Philippines since they first took part in the Olympics in 1924 and now the only gold. Diaz became just the second athlete from her country to win multiple Olympic medals, joining swimmer Teofilo Ildefonso, who won bronze in the men's 200-meter breaststroke in 1928 and 1932. She became a national hero for her exploits in Rio, and her profile soared when she won Asian Games gold in Jakarta in 2018.
And now let's hear the greetings from our EBC ASEAN Bureau for the 107th anniversary of the Iglesia ni Cristo being commemorated today.
On this blessed day of your 107th anniversary,
we wish you more success and blessings to help and to inspire more people around the world in any way possible.
To the church administration led by Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, thank you very much po.
To all the members of Iglesia ni Cristo around the world, from the correspondents of ASEAN Bureau,
Salamat Hari Jadi.
Chonyan Kuala.
Ufaberi Anniversary Aka Eden.
Chukmong Kinyam Mot Chambay.
Rekreku.
Salamat ulang tahun.
Suksan One Cup Rock ng Roy Jet P. Krista Chak Kong Chris.
Happy
107th
anniversary!
And meanwhile, here's the President of the Philippines for his greetings for the 107th anniversary of the Iglesia ni Cristo. Let's listen in.
Isang mainit na pagbati sa Iglesia ni Cristo, ang pagdiriwang ng inyong 107 anibersaryo. Sa mahigit ng isang siglo, ang INC ay naging inspirasyon sa maraming Pilipino upang magpatuloy na isang lumaganap at pag-ibig, kabutihan at malasakit sa kapwa-tao sa pamamagitan ng salita ng Diyos. Sa okasyong ito, manatili sana kayong tapat sa inyong misyon maglingkod sa ating pamamayan. Maligayang anibersaryo. Mabuhay kayong lahat.
To all the Iglesia ni Cristo around the world, and thank you, Cristel, for keeping me company as always.
Thank you so much, Alma. And of course, before I go, I would like to greet all members of Iglesia ni Cristo around the world a happy 107th anniversary. And of course, to the church administration, the executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, and family po, happy 107th anniversary. And that's the latest news in the dynamic ASEAN region. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I am Cristel Mapa of EBC Thailand Bureau. We live in interesting times.
I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.